matters, Mr. Speaker. I was thinking maybe we should have taken the right route, namely ask the Cabinet Secretary to do what the Constitution gives them in the section that I've read. Failing which, Mr. Speaker, we shall have contravened subsection 4, which does not allow any other person other than the Cabinet Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I support your communication.
Honorable Boni, read the powers of the High Court. Those are the powers that are in your hands. Senator for Kilifi.
Asante mstahiki Speaker. Mstahiki Speaker, kitu cha kwanza nataka kumsifu dada yetu Fatma Dulo, seneta wa Isiolo, kwa kuleta malalamishi kama haya mbele ya bunge la Senate. Bwana Speaker, ni jambo la kusikitisha sana kuona gavana ambaye ameitwa katika bunge la Senate aje, ama gavana ambaye ameitwa na kamati ya Senate aje ajitokeze na akose kufika. Bwana Speaker, ni jambo pia vile vile la kusikitisha kwamba yeye kama kiongozi wa gatuzi la Isiolo ni lazima azingatie sheria na ajue kwamba bunge la Senate ndio linalomshughulikia na kumtafutia pesa ili aweze kutumia kufanya maendeleo ndani ya Isiolo. Bwana Speaker, kitu kingine ni kwamba ule uamuzi ambao umechukuliwa hivi sasa, Bwana Speaker, katika ulivyochukua huo uamuzi wa kwamba yeye aweze kuitwa tena mbele ya kamati na kupitia kwa mkuu wa polisi, hilo ni jambo zuri, kwa sababu kuanzia hivi sasa kutakuwa na heshima itakayopeanwa na kwa watu kwa maseneta wetu na kuheshimu bunge la Senate, ya kwamba usipokwenda tunaweza kutumia nguvu zetu hapa ndani ya bunge la Senate na tukamwambia mkuu wa polisi uweze kukamatwa na uletwe mbele ya Senate ama kamati ya Senate ili uweze kujibu yale maswali, na tutafanya hivyo tukitumia njia hiyo, na ni kwamba itakuvunjia heshima wewe kama gavana. Manake ukija ukishikwa utatiwa ndani korokoroni, alafu siku ya pili ama baada hiyo weekend ikimalizika utapelekwa katika kamati ya Senate ili uweze kujibu ni kwa nini hawezi kuja. Na hili hatutaki uhusiano kama huo uweze kujitokeza wakati ambapo inatakana serikali ya ugatuzi. Hivi sasa tunawapigania pesa wapate, na hatutaki zipunguzwe, na wao wanafanya tabia kama hizo, na sisi tunaona hiyo si jambo zuri. La mwisho, Bwana Speaker, mimi nasema Gavana Guyo aelewe ya kwamba moja wapo katika serikali ya ugatuzi ni Isiolo, na Isiolo si kipochi chake, wala pia vile vile Isiolo si nyumba yake. Aelewe kwamba Isiolo ni gatuzi la watu wa Isiolo, na akiitwa na Isiolo ama akiitwa na kamati ya Senate aweze kujua ya kwamba ni lazima aje afike. Asipofanya hivyo hatua itachukuliwa. Asante sana Bwana Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, we seem to have a problem with with our system. If there are any other senators wishing to contribute to the motion, to the allegations, yes. Very well. By show of hand, we'll start with Commissioner.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii. Kwanza kabisa nataka kumshukuru seneta wa kutoka Isiolo, Senator Fatuma Duro, kwa swali ambalo aliuliza ndiposa tuweze kupata mwelekeo. Na tayari Bwana Spika tumepata mwelekeo. Na nataka kumshukuru seneta kwa sababu yeye amekuwa mzoefu na amekuwa kwa muda mrefu katika seneti hii, na maswali ambayo ameuliza Bwana Spika ni swali nzuri kabisa, kwa sababu Gavana Guyo, kile ambacho amehitajika ni yeye kuja hapa katika seneti hii ama kamati ya seneti hii kujibu maswali Bwana Spika. Si maswali ya seneta, ni maswali ambayo watu wa Isiolo wanataka. wangetaka huduma, Bwana Spika, na hiyo ndio maswali ambayo yanaulizwa. Bwana Spika, imenivunja moyo sana kusikia kwamba gavana anakuja katika kamati na hakuna jambo anafanya ila kuleta madharau katika kamati. Bwana Spika, nimemsikiza Senator wa Vihiga, Senator Ostosi, ambaye ni mwenyekiti wa kamati, akisema ya kwamba yule gavana hata baada ya kufika katika ile kamati ni kuonyesha dharau. Bwana Spika, ni kama hawafai, ilhali maseneta hata siku ya leo Bwana Spika tumekuwa tukisema ya kwamba pesa ambazo zinakwenda katika kaunti zetu ni mpaka ziongezeke. Bwana Spika, nilimsikiza Senator Dulo akiuliza inawezekanaje sisi tunapigania pesa ziende katika gatuzi ya Isiolo, lakini gavana mwenyewe hawezi kuja kujibu maswali. Bwana Spika, nataka kusema ya kwamba uamuzi ambao umetolewa na Spika siku ya leo na kubaliana nao 100% Bwana Spika, na umetoa mwongozo ndio hata magavana wengine ambao wako na zile nia ama zile tabia Bwana Spika waweze kupata funzo Bwana Spika. Na Bwana Spika, sisi vile tunavyofanya katika Senate hii ni kuwakilisha wananchi wa Kenya Bwana Spika katika gatuzi ambazo tumechaguliwa. Bwana Spika, sioni jambo lolote ya kwamba gavana anaogopa kuja kujibu maswali, kwa sababu maswali ambayo anaulizwa ni maswali kuhusu utendaji kazi wake katika kaunti yake Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, asipokuja inaonekana ni madharau, na nataka kubaliana na Spika vile alivyosema atafutwe mahali alipo Bwana Spika, na wakati wote kamati itakapokuwa ikiketi Bwana Spika aweze kutolewa Bwana Spika, kwa sababu faini hizi Bwana Spika ambazo amekuwa kitozwa kwake anaona ni mzaha Bwana Spika, kwa sababu atatoa zile pesa katika akaunti za gatuzi zetu na aweze kulipa Bwana Spika. Anatoa mkono huu na kuweka katika mkono huu Bwana Spika. Nataka kukubaliana na nataka kumpongeza tena Senator Dulo kwa kazi nzuri ambayo amefanya na ametutolea mwongozo. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nasema asante.
Senator Gachagua'S.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to congratulate you for that communication that you have made, and also congratulate Senator Dulo for escalating this matter to the plenary. As a chair of a committee, I have been seized of this matter, and Mr. Speaker, I am one of those chairs or the leaders of those committees that have gone to Isiolo County to carry out our constitutional mandate. Mr. Speaker, when the Public Accounts Committee landed in Isiolo, we were scheduled to have our meetings at the Isiolo County Assembly. The Speaker of Isiolo County Assembly and the entire membership of the Assembly disappeared, including the clerk. We were only left with the Sergeant at Arms. The Governor, whom we had given notice that the Senate would be coming to Isiolo, was a no-show. Mr. Speaker, even the projects that the committee had come to inspect as part of its constitutional mandate, we could not get access to the projects. Mr. Speaker, one of the projects was a market and a county headquarter. The project manager is a Ministry of Public Works. Even the project manager could not get access to those facilities. Mr. Speaker, it must go on record that when we do what we do in committees, it is not vendetta and it is not pursuit for personal glory or any personal gratification. We are doing it because the Constitution requires us to oversight public resources that have been assigned to county governments. I want to say, having visited Isiolo, that the people of Isiolo deserve proper medical services just like the people of Homa Bay. The people of Isiolo deserve representation at the county assembly just like the people of Kiambu or Moranga or any other county. Mr. Speaker, it is obvious that those things are not happening. But we cannot be a house that laments. Mr. Speaker, I perhaps do not agree that this house should be considering a censure motion against a governor because we have the power to impeach a governor. And so we cannot initiate the process that will lead to that impeachment. But what our clerks must do for posterity is to advise senators on the concept of contempt of parliament. Mr. Speaker, the directions that parliament gives in the event of contempt are still subject to judicial review. And yet contempt of court is not subject to any other review. Contempt of the executive is met with dire consequences. We have put ourselves in a position of weakness, Mr. Speaker, by subjecting issues of contempt of parliament to review of other bodies of judicial review. Mr. Speaker, in other jurisdictions, subpoenas are issued, and the Inspector General of the head of the police has a responsibility to execute them. Let us not lament. The Inspector General of Police was vetted by this House.
Order, senators. Senators, order. Let's listen to Senator Gachagua'S. 1 minute to conclude, Senator Gachagua'S.
Mr. Speaker, the Inspector General of Police was vetted by this House. And someone who's an appointee of the Senate cannot then have the guts to defy legitimate instructions and directions of the Senate. And Mr. Speaker, Senator for Kakamega, Senator Khalwale, has gone down in history as having led a march to the office of the Inspector General of Police. We should never appear helpless. Mr. Speaker, finally, I want to encourage the citizens of Isiolo to go to the County Governments Act and push for a motion for suspension of that county government, because the activities of the governor and the ruling class in Isiolo are contrary to the common good of the people of Isiolo. However, Mr. Speaker, this conversation should not be localized to one governor or to one county. This is a problem that we are seeing across several other counties in the 47 county governments. And we need a solution. We need to strengthen the consequences for contempt of parliament without subjecting them to judicial review. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ali Roba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I stand here as a governor who has served 10 years and who has appeared before various committees, including that of Senator Gachagua'S severally. One thing, as a governor from my region of northern Kenya, it's a bit embarrassing when you're invited by various committees and consistently you fail to appear, including the committee I chair. The role of oversight committees of Senate is to vindicate you from wrongdoing if you're able to appear and explain the state of expenditure or issues of concern that has been shared. My worry is, what would the governor tell the people of Isiolo County as the reason for failing to appear before various committees of the Senate? And what is it that the governor is hiding so much such that the governor cannot appear before oversight committees of parliament? And what is very unique with this one governor of Isiolo County, Governor Guyo, so that all the other governors having their second term, the first term, are appearing before various committees. However, Governor Guyo finds it impossible to appear before various committees of the Senate. It should be a question that the public of Isiolo needs to ask themselves. What is our governor hiding? Why is it that our governor can't appear as other governors are appearing before oversight committees of the Senate? Because the opportunity to be able to appear and explain issues of concern that has been raised on behalf of the public of Isiolo is an opportunity that any leader, with sound mind at this level of a governor should be able to take that opportunity to freely come without being persuaded to come, unless there is something very serious that he's hiding, or he can't appear because he's ill-prepared to be able to appear. Because now, as you're leading a county and consistently you're being discussed for failing to appear before various committees of the Senate, and that puts you in a very embarrassing situation. I think the direction that the Speaker has given is a sound direction, and all of us need to take advantage of that to be able to make sure that this is enforced on behalf of the people of Isiolo County. Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Senator Eddie Okech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't know why the Senator of Senator Chimera is very excited today. Senator from Kwale. But that's fine. I think that he must be very excited, because I think that the governor for Isiolo has frustrated the House for so many years, Mr. Speaker. And I have witnessed, Mr. Speaker, from my own committee, CPIC, when the governor, first of all, was very reluctant to appear in the committee, but when he eventually appeared, it appeared as if the work that we were doing in that committee were not important, to the extent that it became a very bad exchange, Mr. Speaker. But that said, Mr. Speaker, whenever we invite, because we start with the invitation to governors to come and appear before the committees of the House, Mr. Speaker, and even if you further this by a sermon, Mr. Speaker, most of the time, these invitations are about audit queries. And audit queries, Mr. Speaker, if you look at all the audit queries that we have had, Mr. Speaker, they are there to protect the people of our respective counties from any exploitation of Article 43, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, if a governor doesn't show up and disrespect committees of the House, Mr. Speaker, I think that this is the best definition of a crime. And what I was expecting, Mr. Speaker, is perhaps a guidance to the committees of the respective, the chairs of the respective committees, that they recommend prosecution of such a governor. Because I don't think that having Inspector General of Police bring a governor who is rogue, who is exploiting his people, who is not performing for his people, who is actually wasting the resources of his people, and you want someone to appear before us, and he doesn't show up, just bring him before us doesn't help the people to get their services. Let the chairpersons of these respective committees recommend prosecutions, and let those recommendations come in form of a report to this House. Let us ratify those reports through the process of debates and consideration in this House, and let us forward the recommendations to DPP and recommend a prosecution. And I hope that Governor of Isiolo will be the first one to face the wrath of a House of Parliament that protects the people against such exploitation. So, Mr. Speaker, recommend prosecution of this governor. I think
Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me first to raise a point of concern, Mr. Speaker, on our systems, Mr. Speaker. We really need to figure out how to deal with this issue of our systems, because we are facing a very important issue tomorrow. And if it happens that every time we are queuing to speak and suddenly the system drops, and then we are subjected to, either not offer our views, Mr. Speaker, we will not be doing justice to the people that we present, Mr. Speaker. So I don't know what plans the Secretariat, the Clerk's office, the people in charge have for tomorrow, but it can definitely not be that when we are ready to speak, the systems drop. It looks a little bit awkward, Mr. Speaker. On the issue of the Governor of Isiolo, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that as a member of the Labour Committee, we actually had summoned the governor because he has allegedly employed over 45 advisors, Mr. Speaker, contrary to what is allowed in law. And you can see the level of impunity. If it is true that indeed he has employed over 45 advisors and he has refused to submit himself before the Labour Committee, Mr. Speaker, we are 100% sure that there's a lot of other monkey business going on in Isiolo, Mr. Speaker. And in fact, when we were issuing the summons of arrest from the Labour Committee, it was in the interest of the people of Isiolo, because if we as a Senate committee cannot trace where the governor is, for sure the people of Isiolo have no clue where their governor is, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I think it is imperative that even in future, if we amend the powers and privilege, if we amend the standing orders, that it should be imperative that at the points that the first committee has issued the arrest, a letter from the Speaker's office should just initiate that the culprit be arrested on the spot, Mr. Speaker. So we are looking forward to some action so that we can be able to account for the people of Isiolo. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator James Murango.
Finally. Asante sana Mr. Speaker kwa kunipa hii nafasi. Kitu ya kwanza ningetaka kusema kwamba ni jambo la aibu, kwa sababu aliye gavana wa Isiolo Abdi huyo alikuwa mwakilishi wangu wa Matopeni. Ile wakati pia nilikuwa Matopeni ward. wakati pia mimi nilikuwa wakilishi wandi wa Kerugoya, akawa kiongozi wa wengi na mimi pia nilikuwa kiongozi wa wengi, nikakuja Senate na akawa gavana wa Isiolo. Na kwa sababu tunaamini kwamba ukipitia kutoka wewe ni mwakilishi wandi na umefika mahali ulipo, pia unakuanga umesoma mambo mengi. Na ni vibaya na aibu kuonekana kwamba sasa wale wanaofika kuwa mangavana kupitia mawakilishi wandi ni kama watu ambao pia wanaanza kuvunja sheria. Hiyo ni kutuharibia hata sisi, Mstahiki Speaker. La pili niseme kwamba Seneti tio tingatinga ambayo inatumika kutengeneza barabara mahali kuna mawe na miti, ikimaliza inawekwa kando isiharibu barabara. Tunapokuja huku kupitisha fedha ambazo mangavana wanatumia, lazima kwamba wajue ya kwamba lazima tutafuatilia kuona zile fedha zinafanya kazi. Na kwa hivyo gavana anapoarifiwa kwamba anafaa kufika katika kikao kwa kamati ya Seneti, anafaa kwa mapema afike, akuja jieleze. Hii sasa inaonekana ni kinaya na pia ni kukosea Senate heshima, kwa sababu siku zote hizo wameitwa wamekataa kukuja. Mstahiki Speaker, niliangalia wakati kulikuwa na kikao ya Speaker ambapo gavana huyo alimtusi seneta wa Narok katika kikao. Na niseme kwamba hiyo si mzaa, sio kitu ya kufurahia. Ni kitu ambayo pia inaonyesha kwamba watu wa Isiolo kama sisi hatuwezi kuwatetea. Watatetewa na nani kwa gavana ambaye ni mkakamavu na amekosa heshima kiwango ya kwamba anaweza kuja kutusi seneta katika kamati. Kwa hivyo Mstahiki Speaker, ningesema ya kwamba achukuliwe hatua ambazo zinafaa kuchukuliwa, aletwe katika kamati zile zote, na ikiwezekana akuje awekwe ndani, akija kwa kamati anarudishwa ndani, anatolewa kamati hiyo ingine mpaka amalize vikao vyote akiwa mbando wako ndani, kwa sababu akiachiliwa hatujui kwamba atakuja tena ama atatoroka. Asante sana Mstahiki Speaker.
Alexander Mundingi.
Asante Bwana Speaker, mimi naunga mkono vile maseneta wa county 47 wanaongea, kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa mmoja komiti wa REPA. Tumekuwa na kikao mara moja, ya pili, ya tatu, na pia seneta wa Isiolo Mheshimiwa Nduro amekuwa akihudhuria hiyo kikao, na imekuwa na shinda nyingi sana, kwa sababu tumekuwa tukimuhitaji akuja anjibu majibu vile ameajiri kazi watu wafanyikazi na vile analipa watu, na amekuwa akuji. Nakumbuka wiki jana tulisema aweze kutolewa summon na pia aweze kuangaliwa vile atalipa shilingi 1500. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono governor aweze kutafutwa na mkuu wa polisi aweze kuletwe, na kama ni rais wa Kenya kwa mwaka mmoja huwa anakuja anaongea katika Senate pamoja na Parliament, na pia kama kwa hii kikao ya Senate Bwana Speaker, kila wakati wote siku ya Jumatano kama cabinet secretary huwa anakuja, na katika governor wote wanakuja Bwana Speaker, na governor wa Isiolo hawezi kuheshimu mambo ya Senate. Ningeomba mambo yote machairman wote wa kamati wakae pamoja, na kila kamati iweze kutoa mashtaka yake na iandikwe pamoja, na wakati huyo governor ataweza kushukuriwa aweze kuletwa hapa katika kikao ya Senate, akuje akalishwe chini na maseneta 67. Kwa hiyo Bwana Speaker, mimi naunga mkono huyo governor aweze kushukuriwa hatua, kwa sababu najua si tumekuwa hapa kila mara tukiongea mambo ya ukatuzi, tukiongea mambo ya wizara 10, mambo ya hela ya hospitali, mambo ya hela ya wafanyikazi, mambo ya hela hata ya parapara na kila kitu yote, na kama kila wakati wote juu ya tunatetea ukatuzi Bwana Speaker, na ule governor ndiye anafaa ajibu maswali ni kama audit na akuji, tunasunika sana. Kwa hivyo Bwana Speaker, mimi naunga mkono huyo governor aweze kuletwa hapa kwa maseneta wote tuweze kuona vile atachukua hatua. Kwa hiyo Bwana Speaker, naunga mkono nikiwa senator wa Embu County. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Senator Chimera.
Asante sana Bwana Speaker kwa fursa hii. Bwana Speaker, ni kupongeze sana kwa ujumbe huu ambao ni muhimu sana katika uendeshaji wa shughuli za bunge la Seneti hili. Bwana Speaker, kwa kweli gavana huyu kutoka Isiolo amekuwa donda sugu lisilopona Bwana Speaker. Nafikiri mimi mwenyewe ni mwanakamati wa kamati ile ya masuala ya usawa, na bunge hili katika mswada wao wa hali halisi ya taifa baada ya yale maandamano ya vijana wa Gen Z, tuliweza kupewa fursa na nguvu na bunge hili kuweza kuwaita magavana wote ndani ya nchi hii ili kutathmini ni hali gani ama ni jinsi gani wamefanya kuhakikisha kwamba vijana katika nchi hii wanapata nafasi za kazi, wanapata nafasi za ajira, nafasi za biashara katika kaunti zetu. Lakini la kusikitisha ni kwamba gavana huyu wa Isiolo, Mheshimiwa Guyo, nafikiri amekataa katakata kufika katika kamati ile. Na ninavyosikia kwamba pia amekataa kuja katika kamati zingine katika bunge letu hili, ni jambo la kusikitisha Bwana Spika, na niseme kwamba sisi kama seneta tunapaswa kupeana ilani kali sana kwa magavana kama hawa na wale wengine ambao pia wanapania kutoheshimu amri ya seneti. Jumba hili la seneti kwa mara ya kwanza sasa nafikiri jumba ambalo limepata hadhi yake, lina sifa yake kedekede, na vile vile pia linafuata sheria kuhakikisha kwamba ugatuzi kweli umeonyeshwa katika kaunti zetu kule mashinani. Mimi naomba tu kwa wale magavana ambao wanataka kuenda njia hii ya gavana wa Isiolo, tunawapa ilani ya kwamba sisi kama seneta, ikiwemo mimi seneta kutoka kaunti ile yangu ya Kwale, hatutalala katika kazi yetu, hatutazembea. Tutahakikisha kwamba wewe kama gavana ambaye unapata fedha ya serikali ya umma kumfanyia mwananchi kazi, utaweza kuwajibika, na ni lazima ufike katika kamati zetu za seneti hili uweze kujieleza, na si kwamba tunakushutumu. Sielewi kwa nini gavana huyu Bwana Spika anaogopa kuja katika bunge letu hili. Nini anaficha ambayo anaona kwamba hawezi kuja kutujielezea Bwana Spika? Mimi naomba hatua kali chukuliwe, kando na yale uliyasema katika ujumbe wako Bwana Spika. Gavana aweze kukamatwa ikiwezekana hata leo, ili aweze kupewa fursa ya kuja katika bunge hili na ajieleza na tuone ni nini anachokificha katika kaunti yake ile ya Isiolo. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Senator Mofaya.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to support this motion by Senator of Isiolo. Honorable Speaker, I've been around for the last close to 2 years now. I serve in various committees, including being the chair of unregulated registration in the Senate. Honorable Chair, I have observed with a lot of dismay that there is purported emergent overrated rivalry between governors and senators for no apparent reason. No, Honorable Speaker, oversight is a constitutional obligation. Senator Duro is not pursuing her own interest for that matter. She is doing what is exactly enshrined in the Constitution. So the governor of Isiolo is not, the rivalry is not between the governor and the senator. The rivalry is between what the Constitution really dictates. That the governor has to obey the summons, the invitation from various committees. And you know, Honorable Speaker, I have observed that quite a number of people who have served as members of parliament, who have served as members of the Senate, who have served as the members of the county assembly, are very defiant and raw when it comes to appearing before Senate committee. I don't know for what reasons. So, Honorable Speaker, I think it's important for us as a house to make some very serious regulations to that matter, because I think if we don't tame these governors, and I know it is very sad, Honorable Speaker, even some of us who are making a lot of lamentation in this house, today, tomorrow, if you become a governor, I will be surprised to see that quite a number of us who might be governors tomorrow might be following the same path. So that's when you're invited in these committees, you just defy, because you know so and so who has been your colleague maybe in the previous regime is the chairman of that committee. So, Honorable Speaker, let's not run away from making sure these things are individual. It's about the Constitution. So the governor for Isiolo must be compelled to make sure that he appears in every committee in his house. He must be compelled. We have a committee called National Cohesion Integration Commission, which is run by Senator for Marsabit, Honorable Chute. I remember we have filed several invitations for governor for Isiolo, which has not been observed. He identified all those invitations. So, Honorable Speaker, I think it's important we make sure that we stamp our authority over these invitations and make sure that we don't dilute the essence and the very best interest of the devolution for the interest of our people in our relevant counties. I support, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. And let me start by really appreciating Senator for Isiolo, Senator Dulo, for bringing this motion before this House. It's very important. And Mr. Speaker, when I look at the committee that I sit and I serve as the Vice Chair of Finance, we've dealt with the issue of the pending bills for Isiolo, in the sense that when the Senator for Isiolo asked the committee the issue of pending bills for her county, the committee, through the Secretariat, did the needful and wrote to the county of Isiolo. Mr. Speaker, that has been over 1 year, and up to date, Mr. Speaker, the county of Isiolo has never responded on this. As a committee of finance, we summoned the governor, and he gave an excuse indicating that he was hosting a function for Isiolo, a function combined with Marsabit County, among other counties, and that was so much of a priority, unlike appearing to the committee. As we speak, the Finance Committee has summoned the same governor. He's supposed to appear next week, the 22nd of this month, on the same response, and we await. Chances are he might not appear, and it is good we are having this discussion because we have other many matters we want to prosecute. The committee that I also sit in, CPIC, it's true, there was an exchange between the same governor and Senator Ledama, something that, as a committee, of course, was a big disappointment. And after that exchange, Mr. Speaker, the same governor's team, I presume, went ahead to put some of the members of the committee on social media, claiming that the senator of Isiolo was just attacking the governor, and we seemed to be condemning that. An issue that shocked us as members because we do not participate in such matters. And so, through you, Speaker, it would be prudent for the governor to appear before this House to be able to answer, because it seems that all the committees, he has chosen not to appear. So the best solution, even before he appears to other committees, it should be for him to appear before this House and be able to answer to the question of why he has decided to disrespect this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Kithuku, do you want to contribute to the allegations made at Isiolo County or the next motion?
This one for Isiolo. Thank you very much, Honorable
And
Speaker.
Senator Mogeni, do you want to contribute to the allegations? Or is it the next motion? Okay, just one moment. Kithuku, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to congratulate the Senator for Isiolo for bringing this very important matter before this House, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to join also the Honorable Senators, my colleagues, in condemning the act done by the Isiolo Senator, who have decided not to be appearing before the different committees that he has been invited severally, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this House is mandated by the Constitution to take care of the devolution and its government. Honorable Speaker, it is absurd to see to it that the Honorable Governor have decided to deliberately not to appear to these committees that he has been summoned to appear so that, Honorable Speaker, he can answer to issues that are affecting the people of Isiolo. Honorable Speaker, I sometimes even fail to understand what is this that the governor is thinking, because the moment now you start to avoid the senators who are mandated by the Constitution to take care of the devolution, then it shows that, Honorable Speaker, that governor is not even aware of what he's doing. Honorable Speaker, I would wish that this House take very serious measures against this governor, because now, Honorable Speaker, the moment now we allow this, other governors who have the same attitude like him, Honorable Speaker, will one day also try to avoid the invitation by the senator. So, Honorable Speaker, I am of the opinion that this House take a very serious measure and discipline this governor who have deliberately decided not to be appearing before various committees of this House, Honorable Speaker. I sit in the Committee of Cohesion. I am a witness that we have been inviting this governor to appear, but he has deliberately refused to appear to answer to issues that are affecting the people of Isiolo, Honorable Speaker. I therefore support and urge this House, Honorable Speaker, to see to it that this governor serves as an example to other governors who has the same attitude like him. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Eric Mogeni.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, we are facing a very bad crisis. That a Senate of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, is this afternoon discussing a conduct of a governor who has refused to respond to summons issued by the Senate. Mr. Speaker, even in the most advanced democracies, you can never, Senator of Isiolo, refuse to respond to summons of a House, more so a Senate. If you look at history, Mr. Speaker, you know what brought down President Richard Nixon. He was given summons by the Senate that was looking into his impeachment. The Senate ordered him to produce tapes that had some information on the Watergate scandal. He refused. He went to court. He waived immunity. The court sided with the Senate and directed President Richard Nixon to tender those tapes to the Senate. And it's the incriminating evidence that was in those tapes that made Richard Nixon to resign. So if a president of a superpower like United States of America can respect summons issued by an equivalent House, Senate of the US, what about this guy called Governor Guyo? I mean, we must rain down on this character. Mr. Speaker, we cannot accept the power, the authority of this House to be whittled down. We cannot accept. Senator Cherargei is a lawyer, you know it. In fact, if you read the American Constitution, they don't have the kind of powers that we have as the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. The Constitution does not mention that the Senate of the US is like a high court, like the way ours mentions. So if need be, this is a guy that should be arrested and be brought here by none other than the commissioner. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you summon a governor, it's not a play game. You want to see some documents, the information you want to see, their records. How then can we be said to be a body that can oversight counties if we cannot have the privilege of asking for documents and they are brought to us, Mr. Speaker? I'm speaking with a lot of pain, Mr. Speaker, because this should not happen in a democracy, more so with a very progressive constitution like the one we have. I hope we are going to go a little bit further and even summon the Commissioner of Police to appear here and tell us why he cannot arrest this governor and bring him before this House. We must show, Mr. Speaker, that we have teeth. We are not a toothless bulldog. We must demonstrate to the governors, more so this Governor Guyo, Governor of Isiolo, that this House has got teeth and the powers we have are powers equivalent to the High Court. Mr. Speaker, if I get summons from the High Court, I will even skip the session tomorrow. If I'm summoned to appear before the High Court tomorrow, I'll go running. And that's what happens in the US. When you receive subpoenas in the US, you stop everything and respond first to the Senate. In fact, it's worse not to go than even receiving summons. So I support, Mr. Speaker, that we need to do something, and I really support the passion with which the Senator of Isiolo has fought to ensure that there is transparency, that she also does her role of oversight effectively against a governor who thinks that is law unto himself. I support Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senators. We proceed to the next order. Clerk.
Order number 11, motion consideration of the National Assembly amendments to the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, Senate Bills, and number 19 of 2024. Resumption of debate.
Resumption of debate. Senator Cherargei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for this opportunity. I want to support the Finance and Budget Committee for this report, and I agree with them that they should reject the amendments from the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, I always get impressed by our Committee on Finance and Budget, and I can see a number of members are in the House. Mr. Speaker, I think this is authority. The last time they were supposed, Mr. Speaker, to cut down the money from 380 billion to 41 billion, they brought us a rejection that the county should get 41 billion, Mr. Speaker. So I support the Finance and Budget Committee that the amendments that were done by National Assembly is not in good faith. If National Assembly had good faith, they should have cut their own CDF money, because CDF as it is unconstitutional, is illegal, and it has been ruled even by the Supreme Court, Mr. Speaker. In fact, it is in my constitutional amendment of 2024 that I'm trying, Mr. Speaker, to salvage the hanging on of the CDF allocation under the budget, Mr. Speaker. In fact, the amendment of this, the upshot of this, Mr. Speaker, is in Article 202 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, where in this point you are trying to additional funds to counties. Apart from equitable shareable revenue, there is additional funds, Mr. Speaker, there is own source revenue. So, Mr. Speaker, we must agree as a nation that what the Finance and Budget Committee has done is very impressive, Mr. Speaker. We should support them. Mr. Speaker, you are looking in the financial year of 2024-2025, counties were supposed to get additional funds of 61.9 billion, Mr. Speaker. But the National Assembly cut down to 46.5 billion Kenya shillings, Mr. Speaker. So counties will lose almost 15.4 billion, Mr. Speaker, which is very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, it will affect many programs. Mr. Speaker, what we should be cutting is foreign travel, Mr. Speaker. Chai and mandazi and flowers and newspaper in our offices, Mr. Speaker. Then reallocate those funds to more, Mr. Speaker. Because, for example, Mr. Speaker, if the counties were to lose 15.4 billion, for example, if they cut it to 46.5 billion, Mr. Speaker, counties like the one we were discussing, Isiolo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, Tharaka Nithi, will lose 528.1 million that was supposed to be used to support the construction of county headquarters, Mr. Speaker. The reasoning behind the Senate was that these counties received the lowest allocation through shareable revenue, and therefore we thought by giving them additional grants, additional funds of 528 million will assist them to build county headquarters, Mr. Speaker. And I remember we did visit Isiolo. The headquarters was talked, Mr. Speaker. We went to Nyamira, Mr. Speaker, with Senator Okongo Mugeni, and I wish he was listening. He was my lawyer when I was struggling in those days, Mr. Speaker. And he defended me, Mr. He took us to Nyamira County headquarters when Governor Amos Nyaribo, may his soul rest in peace, was still the governor, and we went under devolution committee. Sorry. The late Nyagarama, sorry, Mr. Speaker, the late Nyagarama, he was still the governor, he passed on, Mr. Speaker. My apologies. I didn't intend, but it is a slip of the tongue, Mr. Speaker. Because yesterday, in the charges of a matter that was yesterday, there was also confusion on which door to get into, Mr. Speaker. Even in mineral royalties of 1.1 billion. For example, in Nandi, Mr. Speaker, we have mining in Kareba gold mine. We have mining across Nandi. This 1.1 billion mining royalties, Mr. Speaker, would have been significant in allocation and development of those areas, Mr. Speaker. You know, there is destruction of environment, there is pollution, Mr. Speaker. We should have allowed 1.1 billion, Mr. Speaker. Another important issue is road maintenance levy fund, Mr. Speaker, of 10.5 billion. Mr. Speaker, are you aware, Mr. Speaker? Mr.
Yes.
Speaker, are you aware?
Beatrice, what is your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, my point of order is on Standing Order 41 on the quorum during the proceedings of the Senate. Honorable Speaker, do we have a quorum to proceed as a House?
Honorable Senators, it seems we don't have quorum. Sergeant at Arms, please ring the bell for 10 minutes. Honorable Senators, having failed to attain quorum at the expiry of 10 minutes, the Senate stands adjourned pursuant to Standing Order 41-2A until tomorrow, 16th October 2024 at 9 a.m.